Aloha, it's 365Y.
With Eric and Julie Zemelis, and behind us is the ocean, because today we are on our lanai to talk to you about cool things through an interesting game we're going to play if you're thinking about coming to Hawaii Island and want to get involved doing some fun things around the island.
All right, and it's called Overrated?
And Underrated.
All right, and we got this idea over the internet, and it's kind of a little trend going around. And so what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different things on the island and declare whether they're overrated
or underrated.
And have a little discussion about that. And in the mix, you'll learn a little bit. We'll have a little fun and see if you guys like it.
Yep. And so, again, if you guys were looking for people who can give you the inside scoobies, we've been here for 20 years, and I think that this information is going to be helpful to you.
That's right. And this one's geared to more towards a traveler than somebody that lived here. If you live here, it's good for you, but if you were coming here, this might be what you want.
Yeah, and if you're watching this, if you live here, you might get a couple chuckles. You can play along, think, okay, I can see that. Start with a popular beach here on Hawaii Island, Hapuna Beach. I say it's overrated.
Oh, no, I can't decide. I'm going to say underrated. And I'm slow on that one, sorry.
Okay. So why do you think it's underrated?
I think it's of course, it is the most premier beach on the island. It is big. It is over a third of a mile, which is the biggest one there is. And it has that beautiful white sand. And yes, there are a lot of people there, but everybody goes there, has a good time. So I would say that it is definitely underrated instead of overrated.
Okay, so the reason I say overrated is because it was named by Dr. Beach as one of the most beautiful beaches in America. And so a lot of people go there. And so I'm always about, hey, if we live on a big island, don't have to sit right next to the person next to you. Go find some space. So I would say that there's places on Punalu'u Beach. If you guys go to the far north end, you can get away from all the crowds. But if you guys are looking for Google searches for white sand beaches on Hawaii Island, you're probably going to see Hupuna Beach. So don't just stay there. We have other places that you guys can explore and enjoy the water as well. So let's talk about some famous hotels that you can stay at when you're on this island. And one of them is the Hilton Waikoloa. Okay, why do you think he's underrated? Okay,
so I think this hotel is underrated just because of the sheer grandeur of this place. It is huge. It takes you, if you were walking, it must be almost 20 minutes to walk from the far tower to the lobby to get there. And what other hotels have a train that takes you places? And also they've got a boat, a little boat that goes through on a little channel. So those are some pretty cool things. And it is just a large scale. Even the art is big. They've got a wagon with all kinds of horses.
Asian art.
Asian art, but still, everything is big at the Hilton. And they also have a lagoon where they have all these turtles. So you want to swim with turtles, they're right there. And then they do have these swimming with the dolphins that are confined inside another lagoon right there. So there's plenty of things to do. I know it's overcrowded, but just the sheer grandeur of it makes me say it's underrated.
Okay, so the reason I say overrated is because when I was traveling, and in particular, this was in Las Vegas, and I know this is probably all over, all the airports like in the country, they're being marketed to come to Hawaii. They show this huge pool, blue pool, right? And also, you're right next to the ocean and all that kind of stuff. Well, when you actually get there, you guys, big pool, not heated. It is a cold pool because it's too big to actually heat.
Well, that's why you go back to that's why you go jump in the bay right there. The bay is super warm, right? The little cove that it's.
Yeah, there's no super warm. They do have hot tubs though. That's super warm. But the thing also is, you guys, there is no actual beach to get into the open ocean from this big resort. Like Eric said, you can get into the lagoon, which is, seawater. It comes from the ocean. But if you think about going to Hawaii, a lot of people think that they're getting this huge resort because it has ocean front where they can get in the water. And it doesn't work out that way. It looks like a big fat reef. But I will say that you can safely swim under their waterfall that comes off of their tram.
The upper layer falls into the lower layer is what it is. It's not even the tram, it's the little...
It's a little boat. Well, the boat and the tram go by side by side. And there's a bunch of water up there and it comes down. And but they do have a variety of different restaurants, but you are going to pay almost $50 a night to park there. And also it is a large hotel. So trying to get around sometimes can be a little bit more tricky, especially if you've got small children, you've got like floaty toys and all the stuff you're trying to maneuver with. But for a lesser expansive hotel, but still in the same area. The Marriott actually is pretty cool. It's up and down. You just come right out and boom, you're actually on a beach with a sand so you can get in the water. So if you don't like having to wander around for like, a quarter of a mile.
It's more than a quarter of a mile. I see what you're talking. Just kidding. It's a big property.
Yeah, then the Marriott's a pretty good one too. And also both of those hotels are in the Waikoloa Resort area, and there's lots of shopping and things to do
and
there.
the weather's always great up there.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of activities, let's talk about swimming with the manta rays.
Underrated.
Okay, there you go. You guys, can I go why I think it's awesome? Okay, so again, though, if you look for any type of Googling experience about things to do on Big Island, you're probably going to come up with a manta ray adventure because it is one of the few places in all of the world to be able to actually swim with the manta rays. And I think that sometimes people get a little scared because they think they're going to be out in the big old black ocean at night by themselves, and these big creatures are coming up underneath them from out of the blue. That's not exactly what happens. Tell them, okay, I can't look at him because he hasn't done it yet. So I love doing it because I thought that it was going to be dark and scary, and I lived on this island for 15 years before I gave it a shot. And I realized, you know what, you guys, when you go out on a manta ray adventure, everyone's wearing lights on their arms. There's usually lights coming up from below to help get the plankton going for the manta rays to start eating. And also the things you're floating on are lit up. So you are not out in the black ocean at night.
Okay, so and I'm going to say, I agree, it's underrated just because the fact that it's so unusual to do, and these creatures are so cool, and I've been close to them, I just haven't been in the water. And my problem is that usually where they're at the point out there at Keho Bay, and it's usually the water is a little rougher out there. That's right where the surf is, and so many people do get seasick watching the manta rays. So that's my issue with not going out there on top of that. But I would say underrated, definitely a good thing to do.
Yep, and I'll give you a little tippy. Is that a lot of people will just take the, I call them the cheater 5-minute cruise, that you get in at Keho Bay and you literally go around the corner and then you're in the water, and you pay $100 for that or whatever. If you are a little bit more adventurous, go out with a boat that takes you to Keho'ole Bay, which is the point, which is near the airport. So you're going up a little bit further north, and you are taking a bit of a boat ride. But when you get there, that is like the coolest place to watch the mantas. They have professional divers that put lights below, hand lights, and there's a bunch of scuba divers usually down there also enjoying the show. And then, so if you scuba dive, that's a good one to go. And then the snorkelers are on top. And then when I was there was at least 8 mantas ranging from 10 to 15 feet and wing length.
Yeah.
And
they're
definitely
huge.
they're on fire up there. Not to say that you're not going to see 1 or 2 down in Keho, but you're probably going to see more. But you never know exactly what you're going to get, but you're probably going to get something. And choose a good dive operator. The one I went to up north was with Jack's Diving Locker, and they're out of Kona. And down in Keho, there's got to be at least 6 or 7. Yeah, providers. Sequest is good. It's right there in Keho. But definitely, if you like getting into the ocean, you want to do something totally interesting, unique on your vacation, that's a winner. And it's not overrated.
It's underrated.
How about a famous restaurant?
All right.
Let's talk about the Coffee Shack. Oh, okay. What do you think?
Oh, no, I want you to go first on this one.
Okay, the Coffee Shack is actually located in Kealakekua, which is in South Kona, and a lot of people who hang out at the resorts in Kahala Coast don't come all the way down to Kona, and especially South Kona.
Yeah, it's a long way.
It is a long way, but it's worth it because it's a totally different world. South Kona is where we have all of our coffee farms, and the Coffee Shack is basically that. It's an older building, and it has stilts, and it looks out all over Papakōlea Bay and the farmland underneath it. It has a spectacular view that you're not going to find very many places in America. And they've got an amazing lilikoi cheesecake that is to die for. You look up lilikoi cheesecake Hawaii, that restaurant's going to show up. Big portions, and it's just a really interesting, unique place to go and enjoy, especially breakfast if you're going to go down and do some snorkeling down further south.
Okay, so I also agree with all of those. Are all great. I'm going to say that it's overrated because this place has definitely been exposed. Everybody knows about the coffee shop and everybody goes there. So they only have about 10 parking places at any given time, and they're always full. So you're parking on the busy road to get in there, and it's always sort of difficult. So I'm just going to say I think it's a great place. I just think it's been overrated, and I think there are some places in town that you could probably get some food that's kind of close to that in terms of pastries and things like that for what it is.
Here's my face. Not the Lily Quite cheesecake.
Well, of course, maybe not the Lily cheesecake, but you get the idea. So it gives you an idea a little bit of the pro and con.
Yeah. But I'll tell you guys with the coffee
Overrated.
shack too, though. If you can get there before 10.
But you get there before 8 is probably
Yeah, it is busy, but you know what? It's worth it. So if you have to park across the street and walk, and again, it's a highway, it's a two-way line, jump over and try and go, because you guys will get a chance to do some really great photography as well. Okay, next. Back to beaches. Let's talk about another popular beach in West Hawaii, and it is Kua Bay. You can't wait for me. That's okay.
I was trying to figure which one it was. Okay, I'll go on this one. Okay, so Kua Bay. Okay, first of all, yes, there are a lot of people at Kua Bay, but there's not a lot of parking there to begin with, so it makes it even a little more tricky. They only have so many spots, and it usually ends up going up the road. But if the road keeps going, so if there, you can go all the way up. It's not like they're going to run out of parking.
If you're late, you'll walk, but at least you'll get there.
And the beach is a specific size, but what makes Kua Bay really cool, and again, it was voted, I've forgotten what number it was.
Dr. Beach said it was one of the most beautiful beaches in America.
Okay, I'm going to say that Kua Bay has better sand than Hapuna by a long shot. It has the whitest sand that you've seen, and it's super soft, and it is just an amazing place to go. And in the summer, the waves are crashing, but not too much. You get a little bit of, you can do a little bit of, body surfing, boogie boarding, but not overdone. And the color is the white. You look through the blue water and you see the green of the sand beneath it. It's very cool. And there is, I'd say that on any given day, you could probably find a space because there's a lot of nooks and crannies you can go even if it's crowded.
Right. The blue is why I love it. If you love blue water, you can't find anything, I think, more beautiful than Kua Bay. One thing, though, too, is that I've talked to people who have traveled here many times, and they never go. They don't even have an idea of how beautiful it is. And yes, on a Sunday afternoon, yeah, it can be crowded. I just got back from Waikiki, and Waikiki's a hell of a lot worse than Kua Bay. And also with Waikiki, let you know on this one. Waikiki has little chunks of like coral.
Yeah,
it's
not smooth sand. It's
horrible.
And the water in Waikiki is a little.
Now that's green. What you're saying goes down underneath.
No, not green, but it's like a beautiful. It's the iridescent color. You can look through the water to see the sand. And
in Kua Bay.
In Kua Bay.
Yeah, because you can't see the sand in Waikiki.
It looks like the water looks a little dirty there in Waikiki.
Yeah. And one of the things that some people don't know, even people who actually live here, because they don't think about it. One of the things that makes Kua Bay so beautiful and clear is because we don't have rivers running into the ocean anywhere near there. So that way you don't have the runoff and the stuff in the water. So it's super, super clear. Great place to see the whales during the whale season. And also the snorkeling there in front of the beach is really, it's good. But we have to talk a little bit about ocean safety.
You have to be careful out there.
Yep.
Everywhere. But I say this a lot. Hawaii is not Disneyland. We do not have roped off areas that are dangerous. You don't know what the dangerous areas are until you get there. And it's easy to go swim way out there and get stuck around the corner or whatever the case may be, or can't get in because the waves are so big. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, and also what we do suggest is that you go to beaches that have lifeguards, and Kua Bay is one with a lifeguard.
They just added those fairly recently.
Yeah, just a couple years ago.
For the longest time, one of the busiest, best beaches in Hawaii, and there was no lifeguards.
No, it's worse than that. There's people who are getting themselves hurt very badly, and there's no lifeguards because no one was telling them what to do.
Yeah.
So just like you guys say, you're going to find I think you're starting to tell people on the plane now too.
Yeah.
Be careful in our oceans. It's a different environment than most places that you might be aware of.
Okay, and I'll give a little tip here. The tip is, I always find if you get there before 8 o'clock, there's plenty of parking and there's plenty of beautiful blue water and plenty of place to put your towel down. By 10, everybody's had their breakfast and is heading down. So.
Right. So it does open at 8 o'clock. So if you get there when it opens,
and you can't go early because the gate is locked. So you have to wait for the guy to unlock it. So you're not going there at 6 a.m. unless you're running down there or biking down there.
You can run down there. We've done that. It's about a mile and
the gate's at least a mile from the
but when you guys go, bring your sunscreen, and also just know the wind kind of picks up in the afternoon, but it's a great place also to go see sunset too. Okay. Another thing to do. So a lot of people sometimes will say, what can I do that's free on the island? And a lot of people will say, drive around the whole island.
The Circle Tour.
By
the way, we did this our second day on Hawaii Island we ever come here, and they said, drive around the island. And we did. And
so it's
Overrated.
And I say underrated.
Oh, you say underrated. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, okay. So, do you want me to go first? You want to go first?
You go first.
Okay, for mine, underrated is the fact that A, it is free, and except for obviously you have to rent a car and you have to spend money on gas because it's probably going to take
Freer.
Yeah,
cheaper.
Cheaper.
Cheaper than a lot of other things.
And you guys, seriously, you can actually hire someone to do this through Robert's Hawaii, I think, does this circle tour where you can get on an actual charter bus and they'll take you around the whole island. And just be prepared, you're going to be out there for at least 10 hours, right? It takes a long time to get around our big island. But one of the things, why I'm saying it's underrated, is that a lot of times, again, people will sometimes go up to the Kahala resorts and stay there the entire time. And they don't get a chance to see how beautiful and varied our island is. Again, you guys, every 20, 30 minutes, you're going to get a different zone. You're going to get lava, you're going to get jungle, you're going to get dry, you're going to get up to Waimea where it looks like Scotland, Northern California. It is a beautiful experience around the whole island.
Right, and I would agree with all those things. It's definitely one of my favorite things. The only thing I would add to that is instead of trying to fit all the things that you could fit in around this island tour, it is actually a 2-day thing instead of a 1-day thing.
Yeah.
So I would suggest doing what would be the half tour, right? And go from essentially start in Kona, go down south, go all the way around, hit all those, hit the Black Sand Beach and all the kinds of things like that, and then hit Hilo. And then instead of going north to go all the way around, come back over Saddle Road, and then another day do the top half, which kind of gives you all the rest of the things.
Yeah, because if you do the lower portion, you can also spend a little bit more time in Volcanoes National Park.
Yeah, and that's worth stopping. That's definitely worth stopping.
Yeah, spending some time there.
So, and it's that's what I mean. So I believe in everything it's done. I just don't believe in doing a whole circle tour of the island. And I've done this. We just did this.
A lot of our volunteers, our guests come and say, "Here, take me around the whole island." And it's like, oh my God, it takes all day long.
Okay, so I got a funny story for you. One of the videos we did while Julie was away about 6 months ago now is that I was going to do the four most corner beaches, four most corner points of the island, the most east side, the most west side, south side, east side, north side, right? And so I thought I would just drive there. I didn't. It was a 12-hour job because not only did I have to drive to these places, I had to walk on top of that. And one of them was this. It was a lighthouse out by Puna, and man, it took me. That took an hour and a half to get out there. It was just crazy. It sounded like a great idea.
Yeah, but if you guys want to see it, it's actually in our 365 Hawaii library, so you can actually see those points.
Yeah,
and
we'll link it in the description. But just give you an idea. It's just a lot of driving, and it just if you do too much driving, you kind of lose the fun of it, and you spend more time stopping at places. It definitely makes it a little more interesting.
Yep. But if you guys do go, like you said, just give yourself a lot of time. And if you find yourself, and you've gone yourself out to the point where you're having dinner in Hilo, and now you've got to drive all the way back to Kona. There are no bathrooms that are accessible until you get to Waimea. So make sure that you just know that it's a long, dark highway. And once you leave Hilo, to go through the Hamakua coast back to Waimea.
Okay, so I will add one more thing on that, just to keep adding to things. There are not a lot of bathrooms in general, so you kind of have to plan them out a little bit. That's kind of how it is here on the Big Island. And also things like, gas stations too. There's not, if you think you're just going to go to the next town and get some gas, that might be, 40 miles away. So you got to be careful on that one too, as well, of trying to know exactly, gas up in the main town, get your food, go to the bathroom, get all ready, and then head out, because it's different than it would be on the mainland.
Right, and also, you guys, we don't have rest stops. That's another thing too, that rest stops are definitely not underrated, because you have to go to the bathroom. And so you are going to be finding yourself in points where look for shopping centers. There's just not going to be just, something sitting out there where you can go get, some candy and stuff like that they can do on the mainland. But one of the things in the videos that we do, I always try and point out where the bathrooms are whenever we're on our little adventures. So I think it's an important aspect of traveling. So keep an eye on that. So when we were just talking about doing the circle tour, there is one stop that a lot of people make, and it's the Punalu'u Black Sand Beach.
All right, I'll go first. I guess underrated goes first. Okay, first of all, yes, this is a very big attraction here, but it also is one of the few black sand beaches all over the world. And just a little tidbit here. Black sand beaches do not last forever because it is made of volcanic particles that continue to grind down to dust, which then get blown away in the water. Sand doesn't go places, but the volcanic dust does. So if you see a black sand beach, it starts out kind of big and it gets to the point where it might just disappear sometimes. So it's
just lava rocks.
It's a rare. And also the black sand beach is kind of interesting because they have a lot of they have a lot of turtles there. It's the one place on the island you could probably see anywhere from 4 to 10 turtles at any given time, relatively. Just to let you know, they have a good job. They block them off, so they're sort of separated. And there is a rule that says you can't get close to them. I think it's more than 10 feet is where it is, depending on where it is.
I think it's 25. I'm not too sure. Yeah.
Okay, so those are that. But I like, where else can you find a black sand beach? And it's so different than any place you're at. It's well worth going to, even with the people. The downfall is, again, parking is going to be one of the ones, because everybody's doing that circle tour, stopping to see that black sand beach.
Right. Okay. So I say again, overrated a little bit, is because and again we've done this with so many of our guests that you're like, oh, good Lord. It is a good place to see sea turtles. One of my friends who came all the way to Hawaii was like, oh, I've got to see a sea turtle. You're probably going to see sea turtles on this beach. But you don't think about this. A black sand beach gets very, very hot. So thinking that you are just going to be like, meandering with your little bare feet on this little beach, no, you're going to fry. The parking lot and the bathrooms, the county needs to pick them up a little bit. It's a little run. It is.
Yeah.
And so when you're there, you're probably not going to be there for very long.
And also, I'll just add one more thing to it. This is not a place you go swimming very well. There's not an easy way to enter the water, and once you get past, there's a little bay. Once you get past out there, there's nothing else for a long, long time, and it has a little bit of a scare to it as well. Yeah. And also, I think the water there, it's fed by a lot of underwater, because of the lava. It's fed by springs that come up of fresh water. So what you get is a lot of cold water.
Right.
And that's what the turtles like, as they come in, they eat all the algae.
And also, that fresh water feeds the algae, which gives them food. And so anywhere you're going to see a lot of sea turtles, you're going to find fresh water, which means the water's going to be like 58 degrees. Yeah. But yeah, it's just not a place where you're going to probably go swimming very much. And also, if you bring your picnic, like Eric was saying, the sand is really fine and it just gets all over everything. But it's great for photography. I mean, really, it's great. Again, it's just not going to be a place where you're going to probably want to spend all day. So
a good road trip.
A good road stop.
Yeah,
that's it. On your way to points too. Part of traveling, of course, is eating. And so the restaurants on our island are, they're pretty good. There is some really great restaurants in Hilo, but since Eric and I basically focus a lot on West Hawaii, because that's where we live, we want to tell you about a very popular restaurant in West Hawaii. It's called Lava Lava Beach Club.
Underrated, overrated.
Okay, overrated.
Okay.
So you go first.
Okay, so Lava Lava Beach Club is literally, it is on the sand. You have about 30 feet from where the restaurant ends to where the water begins. They actually have marked it that says you can't take your drinks, because at that point it becomes public property.
Unless you're in plastic glasses.
Okay.
I've done that.
And on top of that, it's sunset. You're watching the sunset. The waves are right there. It's perfect. It's everybody who's come off a cold day. You've been in the Midwest and it's minus something or other on a gray day, to come out there, put your feet in the sand, drink your cocktail, have a reasonably good meal, and watch the ocean. And there are very few places that are like that here that actually do it. There's restaurants, but nothing right on the water just like this. So that's why I would definitely say that this one is underrated.
There you go. Okay, you're right in the sense that there's not that many restaurants. In fact, I'm trying to think.
Yeah, you can think of another one.
I don't know. I think that's the only one that you seriously are like, you can throw, your ice cubes into the ocean. But the reason why I say it's a little overrated is because we have promoted the heck out of it over the last 7 years.
Well, I don't know if we've made it this way. It might have gone by itself.
Yeah. So if you're up in the Waikoloa Resort area, it is a well-known restaurant. A lot of people go from all the hotels and the resorts up there will go to Lava Lava Beach Club. So it is very popular. So the reason I say it's overrated, it's so popular that trying to get a table there without an hour-long wait ahead of time is difficult sometimes. Yeah. Especially during holiday season, Christmas, the top of the summer season. But what's happened too is that they've expanded the restaurant to help with capacity issues, and a lot of the parts in the back you can no longer see the sunset if you're sitting there having dinner, which I think is one of the reasons why you would want to go there.
Yes.
But the thing is too is that there's just a lot of people, and my little tip is, if you want to still have the waterfront experience, you can come all the way down here in our little happy Kona town, and you can go to Kai's Eats and Drinks, because it's owned by the same company, the Luana Group, which also owns Huggos and Huggos on the Rocks, which also have oceanfront dining right here in Kona. And you're going to spend a little less money, and you're not going to have an hour-long wait, and you can get full-on ocean sunset experiences from those three restaurants. Kai's Eats and Drinks offers validated parking. You can park right next door at the Waterfront Road parking garage. And also Huggos and Huggos on the Rocks actually have their own parking lots, and they too also validate. So it's free parking, and you're right there in the water. And again, it's just it's and again, I love lava lava. Love me some lava lava. But again, if you just don't want to wait around forever, and like we were talking about too, that they have this little games area.
Yeah. Let's just one more thing. On Lava Lava, since the line was so long, they created a whole area with games and stuff, and you got a little bar out there that's in a little VW bus, and then you can play cornhole, you could play some ping pong, some things like that, just all kinds of different things to take your time.
To while away the time that you're waiting to eat your dinner.
That's right.
Which, there you go. And obviously they're through restaurants. Don't open that because they can get you in probably the next half an hour. And also Lava Lava has been offering breakfast, I think for the last year. That was kind of new. So if you do want to have your little, right there this close to the ocean with a little sandy backdrop and looking at a blue A-Bay, then go in the breakfast time frame and enjoy that view without having to sit there with a bunch of other people. Okay, so another spectacular thing on this island is our green sand beach.
So we've been running pretty good on this. Okay, I'll start. Underrated. Okay, so green sand beach, yes, the sand is green. It is olivine. It was a olivine mound that came up from a volcano, and the waves sort of ate into it and made it a green sand beach. And it is beautiful. It is really that color of what it is. The downfall of the beach is that it is over 2 miles away on a hot, dusty road that you can either they do have a local transportation that they have pickup trucks that you guys can get in the back of and get there. And what was the price of that?
Owned by the locals.
Yeah.
You're going to get your excitement there on that one. I think it's $20.
Yeah, $20
or $20 all round trip.
Something like
that.
Well, God, I forgot.
Yeah.
But getting there is that's the hard part, right? And then once you get there, you got to climb down this big. It's about 100-foot drop to get there through this kind of these. When we first got there, they were there little steps that you put in the sandstone that sort of eats away the olivine sandstone. And it started out when I got there, they're only about this big. Now they're like 6 feet tall. We started coming in 2005, so it was a long time ago. But they're just these huge rivets going down in there. Mm. And the other thing that you got to be careful is the water is beautiful, and everybody says wow, but it is a rough place in terms of when the waves come up. But it is one of the few places in the world you can find something like that. And I would say from a spiritual point of view, there is an energy there like nobody I haven't seen in a lot of places. And you just feel good while being there.
Do you think it's because of the crystals?
It might be maybe the olivine amplifies the things, but it is definitely, it's a really great place to do that. So minus all the downfalls and hardness to get there, I think it's underrated.
There you go. Okay, and then the reason I say it's overrated, in fact, we almost weren't even going to put it in this video, is because it is becoming beaten by tourists. And a lot of people have gone on this tour for the last 15 years since we've been here, and they keep eroding the road. So as one gets lost to erosion, they just keep going up and up and up until the point where now these roads are everywhere.
The roads go through the sandstone as well, and so at a certain point they get too deep and they get too rutted to get to it, and you can no longer get it, so they make another road. So it's not a long-term solution for this, and there is talk of closing this whole whole area off to traffic. Mm-hmm. So if you want to drive there, this would be the faster time. I would suggest you do it in the next couple of years before they probably
and also just because you guys know, and again, let's talk about the island in general, is that resource depletion. You just got to be careful. This, again, like we're saying, this isn't Disneyland. So if you are thinking about okay. And one of the things that happen, as you know, is that people have come with big fat 4-wheel drive cars and Jeeps.
The Jeep and rental Jeeps and all that, and they still come here. It hasn't helped with it as well.
Right.
The thing with the rental Jeeps is most people don't know where to go, and it's pretty daunting to go to this maze.
Yeah, you have to go through some pretty crazy things. That's why they have the locals out there that kind of take you and kind of give you a freaking jangly ride out there.
And funny story, when we first got here, nobody was out there, and we drove out there, and we spent like 3 hours by ourselves because nobody was there. It was very rare that people went there, at least during the middle of the week. And slowly, this was again when we first got here. Now there's truckload after truckload of people. So
Yeah.
just too many people, and that's kind of what I think what you're getting at with
Yeah, it's just because, again, it's
Overrated.
just it's a sensitive space.
It
and
is a
just,
sensitive space on top of that, yeah.
And also, it does take a long time to make it happen. So it's not one of those things where you say, I'm going to throw a green sand beach trip on my trip around the island, because it's a deal to get all the way out
So
there.
I'll say this: it's an hour, over an hour to get to where the parking lot for green sands are. Probably more. It's an hour, at least an hour and a half.
To get from Kona?
Yeah, to get from
Yeah,
Kona to
so
there.
at least an hour and a half to get even,
And
I'd
then
say
once-
even with Chew.
Then once you get there, then it's another 45 minutes off road, or if you're walking, it's at least more than an hour because it's 2 miles. So
That's right.
it's definitely a long way. And then you stay another hour there, and then you come back. So you see how the hours can add up pretty quickly. in
Right,
terms of
right.
doing
So
it.
if you're hell bent on going to see a green sand beach,
And-
just know it takes a long time to get there. Second of all, just be careful of just the natural environment. Don't take your big fat Jeep and just go and go out there doing your thing on your 4-wheel drive experience, because it's just, we want to keep it
keep it as good as possible.
Keep it as good as
Also, I'll say this. Also, the South Point is one of the rougher weather areas on the entire island. So you could get, we've been sandblasted to the point where we're like, it looks like
Yeah.
we were green sandblasted.
Yep,
is what it is.
rain,
But at the same time, we've
wind.
also had huge waves that are out there too, and you wouldn't even, and don't go in the water if they're big waves. You know what I mean?
No. You guys, it's a big bowl. And then basically when you're in the bowl and the waves come in, you're like this trying to get out of it. So
there's an undertow that'll pull you back out there. It won't take you all the way out, but it'll pull you, at least 150 feet out from where the beach is.
Yeah.
And I've seen many people get knocked over by that. But
Yeah.
and it changes quickly, so just to be aware of.
Yeah, I won't go swimming in there unless it's a perfectly absolute flat day. Okay, another big thing on Big Island is our waterfalls. So what do we think about the waterfalls on the island, Eric?
I'm going to say they're overrated.
Okay.
So you should start because underrated always starts. And I'll
Okay.
go with it.
Okay, get this. When people think about going to Hawaii, any island in Hawaii, they think about waterfalls, right? And I think that sometimes when people say, okay, what's the easiest way to get to one of the most beautiful waterfalls? Hawaii Island has done a great job of giving easy access to Akaka Falls, Boiling Pots, Rainbow Falls, all located in the east side of the island. So that way, if you want to see a large, and especially if it's raging waterfall, you can see it, and they are spectacular. Going down into Akaka Falls, and you guys, seriously, if you just see a picture of Akaka Falls, it looks like it's a tall, thin waterfall that goes straight down into a pond. It's the botanical garden aspect of it when you go down through the little pathway to get to it that is underrated, because a lot of people don't know that that's actually there.
Yeah.
And then also when you go to Rainbow Falls, you can go and look in there and you're like, okay, don't go swimming there. But if you go up behind the waterfalls, there's this really great place that you can see under this big banyan tree that's really freaking cool. And a lot of people don't know about that either. So
Yeah. So okay, yes, there's some definitely good places. I'm saying it's underrated because most people would say, I want to go swim in a waterfall in Hawaii.
yes.
Okay, that's typically what it is. And none of these waterfalls can you swim in, and they are not easy to get to, most of them. And they're
No, they are easy to get to.
well, you got to drive to them. I mean, I'm just
Okay,
saying.
what are you gonna do, walk?
No, I know.
Okay.
So, and then we found a few that you could go into that you can actually, go into, and we did. And unfortunately, the water is coming off of pasture land and has some pasture.
Listeria.
Yeah.
And also,
And,
there's a lot of like bacteria and crazy
yeah,
stuff.
bacteria in there too. So you got to be really, really careful about that too. I did get sick for a day after being there, so that was not that.
Don't drink any of that water.
Well, just keep it out of your mouth. And not that I did, but my point is that it's super cold in terms of being. Remember, we're back to freshwater again, and this freshwater is always in the 60s here compared to the ocean, which is normally close to 80. So it's a big difference in terms of that. Yeah.
But if you're thinking about trying to hike to some crazy part of the island, see some amazing waterfall.
It's probably on somebody's property. You probably don't want to be having to go to.
Yeah,
to
not
get
probably
there.
don't do it. Don't
do
go
it.
over signs and say don't go there.
Yeah, we're trying to promote good tourism. Okay, that's kind of what we're about.
Responsible tourism.
Yes, and we don't want people going out. And they will have the big signs now that say "Do not trespass here." And and I know in Oahu they just say, "Screw the signs, keep going." But here it makes a big difference. It's something that shouldn't be done.
Right, and there's somebody actually just asked me recently. They're like, which trails shouldn't I go on? I'm like, the ones that say Kapu, Kapu. That means do not go. And also, you guys, if it's in a big like guidebook, it's probably okay. But if you are, again, you've saw some obscure things to see and do on this island, there's probably a good reason why it's obscure and it's not being told to do, because either A, it's illegal, 2, it's not culturally appropriate, or 3, it flat out is actually dangerous. So just those waterfalls I was telling you about, they are like sanctioned. And also, like Eric was saying, that there's some waterfalls that actually, get this, you can actually take ATVs and horseback riding to some waterfalls on the Papakōlea
They're tours,
coast.
waterfall tours. Is right.
And but once you go inside, just realize, it's gonna be cold water, and the bottom of waterfalls with ponds is like, it's all slippery and slimy on the bottom, so you have to wear water shoes. But all those beautiful movie waterfall experiences with lovers hanging and going, isn't this great? No. Do that at the Hilton Waikoloa. They do have a waterfall in the pool. Okay, again, if you have come to our island because you're looking for beaches and all the kinds of fun things to do in that one, don't forget that we have a lot of land that grows food. So one of the things that people like to do to come to Hawaii is that they come to the famous Hilo market. So let's go for it, right?
Yep.
Okay, go.
All right. You can't go wrong with Hilo Farmers Market. It's huge. They have so much cool stuff, and it's stuff you've never seen before. They've got some, the beans with the weird beans.
Yeah, it's a unique tropical fruit.
Yeah, I've got another video on that too, but that's all right. That's all right. But it's just really a cool place to come, and there's such an unusual types of things, and they have more than just actually things you can grow. They have things that people make, and they do all kinds of stuff, and it is so large that it is well worth it, and it's pretty unique.
Right. And so another underrated aspect of it, I think, actually is like all of our farmers markets. We also have a really great one in Waimea. They have 2. It's just the fact that we have passionate, dedicated farmers and also artisans. And also what they call it, it's called value added, where they take food is produced on this island, and then they do things with it, like jams. You've got like fruit leathers. You've got, all these different things. And we have things that actually grow here that a lot of people don't ever. Lion's mane mushrooms. And also the one thing I like about the Hilo market is that not only is it like at least, I'd say, 2 blocks worth of stalls and different things you can shop for, that you're supporting the local economy when you buy local. You get a chance to pick up beautiful jewelry and different kinds of artwork, as well as eat really well. But they're also there's like a little restaurant there, and there's a different food trucks.
Almost like a restaurant hub,
and you get a chance to taste a variety of different cultural opportunities. They've got them all. And it's, again, it's a great place to spend an afternoon. In fact, I have my stepsister who comes here like almost every year. That's the first thing she has to do is go to the Hilo Farmers Market. So you will not be disappointed. Make sure you might want to bring your umbrella.
Oh, but a lot of it is covered.
It is covered. They actually spend a lot of time and energy actually covering this thing, because before it was kind of like, a
hodgepodge of stuff.
A hodgepodge. So it looks better than it has. And again, everything in there is pretty much local grown, where sometimes you go to places where they might pull stuff in from off island.
Yeah, Costco.
Or Costco, or like Indonesia on the gifts and trinkets. This stuff is actually like real good stuff. And again, if you guys are into farmers markets, we did another video on farmers markets around the whole island. Hit that Waimea farmers market as well. That's I think on Saturdays. And the Hilo market is Saturdays as well. So plan your vacation week around doing some of these farmers markets, and you will not be disappointed. Okay, so as we start to end this video, I wanted to also talk to you guys a little bit about what is actually underrated. Underrated is sunscreen. Don't bring chemical sunscreen on the island. It's actually illegal now. So you have to have non-chemical sunscreen, mineral sunscreen only, please. Thank you. It helps protect our reefs and our with the corals. And also, what you cannot underrate yourself is listening to the lifeguards and getting educated on some ocean safety things. And we have a thing called taking the Pono Pledge, which we'll put below. And it basically is all the things that the island will ask you to do to show aloha and to protect the aina. And it's so important when you guys come to just, be cool what's happening on the island, be kind to one another, show the aloha spirit. It really makes a difference. And you know what, your whole vacation will go better when you feel like you're safe and you're also being kind to both the island, the ocean, and to each other. there? What would you say?
You come to a place, you want to add to it instead of take away. This has been an ongoing discussion that people are saying about when they travel, that a lot of people, the tourists are coming and almost taking things, but not like taking physical stuff, but, and this is where you want to come. You want to come, with your aloha and with your understanding and all of that to add to the island, because we want to make this place better and keep it better. And that's kind of what this is about. And this is why we have the Pono Pledge and all these kinds of stuff.
Right, and that's the reason why you do those videos too.
That's why I
to
do.
make sure that people treat this place well. And also, you guys go and take a tour. We're kind of going, you know what though? There's farm tours, vanilla tour. You can do charter boats to go out there and see the wildlife.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful place to explore and, do your research. Like we've given you guys a whole bunch of ideas, but definitely when you come, I think it is just, buy local. Leave your aloha here on the island and take some back with you to where you're come from, because kindness is a beautiful circle of love. But also, if you guys are thinking about when you get here, that you might want to stay. I did write a book, and we'll put the links to our books below, but also we have a real estate YouTube channel.
Yep, with everything that's happening on, every month we cover, we've got statistics, and we've got 10 of the, all around what's happening on the island for that.
Right.
Mortgages, and what's happening in Hilo, what's happening north and south, so it all works out pretty well. And then we
and that's called?
365 Real Estate Minute is the name of our channel. And on top of that, we also talk about, the same way we talk about little places here, like we did neighborhoods just recently there. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of an interesting thing if you want to know more about the actual real estate outside of that. And that we did that because, of course, we are realtors, and this is how we
fund this channel. We sponsor this ourselves. Right. No one else is sponsoring this channel. And you guys, we've been doing these videos for over 6 years, and we really do care about the island. And we do want the right people who show the right attitude about keeping this place just as much as you guys want to come and see it, we all want to keep it as great as we can. And I'd like to believe that we bring in really good people who then we give opportunities for volunteering to, and making them great residents, and so that they're always kept with passion and love in their hearts when they're here. And we'll drop information below on that as well. And if you guys have further questions about things to do on the island, please look at our video library.
We definitely have a lot. And or ask a question. Maybe we can point you in the right place. I was just kind of talking about this, and I was thinking about this video and what we've talked about. I think we're over 275 videos of different things that we've done on the island. So we are well informed with going to all these different places. So today's kind of fun because we're only sitting at a desk instead of having to drive.
Right. Usually we're in hikes. We give information about hikes. Yeah. But definitely, get a chance to see the rest of what we've offered. And if you guys do find yourselves coming and you have questions, we'd like to do more videos. So give us some ideas if you want to drop it down below in the comments as well. And hopefully you guys have a great time while you're on vacation. Be safe, and subscribe to our channel if you plan on coming more often. And we will say aloha.